Hello out there, YouTube. What's going on, everyone? It is D Dun here. I am the average gaming dad. I'm sorry I do not have my face cam on right now. I can't figure out a way to do it with my PS5 where I'm just recording and not live streaming or, in my uh, PS5 video editing software. So we're going without the face cam. But I know we're very, very late into Warzone's life cycle. But obviously, like I last couple of videos have been about, gained a bunch of new subscribers, and a lot of them older, like me, in their mid 30s or even older. I even heard had some people commenting that they were over 50, which is awesome. I hope I'm still gaming when I'm 50 plus. But I use some very interesting settings that I wanted to share with you guys. They're definitely not like a copy paste. Uh, they're definitely not like I think anyone else's that I've ever seen. I do think they're interesting and unique, and so I wanted to kind of go through these um, and share this with you. And then after that, we will have a gameplay that shows a 26 kill game that I got today. So with that said, uh, and keep in mind this is on PS5. If any of the features are different on Xbox or PC, I'm sorry. I'm a average gamer dad. I have a stock PS5 controller with no buttons or paddles and just a PS5. That is what I'm rocking with. No pedals, nothing crazy. That's just what I got. So, anyway, the first things first. I have a custom button layout, and this allows me to slide and to jump similar to what you would get with a custom controller with paddles without having to take my thumbstick or my thumbs off the thumbstick. So my jump button is R3 and my slide or, crouch, whatever, is L3. So this allows me to slide, to jump, whatever I need to do without taking my thumbs off of my thumbsticks. And it doesn't necessarily have to be this, if you want to invest in a custom controller, if you have that, extra income and you want to drop, 150 or 200 plus dollars, go for it. I have to buy formula. So this is what I'm rocking with. It did take me probably close to a week to get used to. Um, but if you give it a chance, it's actually very intuitive. It's very easy. You do have to use auto tax print though, but this is really good for me. Everything else is standard. I have my fire and my aim down sight flipped. So R1 is fire, L1 is aim down sight, and I think everything else is normal. Um, but it's just those two things. So again, jump with my R3 button and slide with my L3. Everything else, I use a fairly low stick sensitivity. This is about the lowest that you'll see like a Warzone like Pro go is 1.3. I've tried all the way down to 1.2, and I just found in too many situations in close quarters combat, I just literally could not move my character fast enough. 1.3 for me is very good. I don't have to warm up. It is a slower sensitivity, and I can manage to keep up in close range engagements, and so it works for me. I have gone as high as two, and if you're curious, we used to have 1 to 20. For every point 0.2 is equal to one sensitivity, right? So if this were previous Call of Duties, this would be a, let's see, five. This would be a 6.5 sensitivity. So, and then my vertical, since Verdansk does not have a lot of verticality, obviously downtown does, but it's not like previous Call of Duties where you had the zips and you could just fly around the map and you had to shoot people out of the air and people were dive bombing you. You do not need a very high vertical stick sensitivity, and this helps me stay on target a lot. I find it very, very easy to control recoil, to hit long range shots, etc., etc. If you snipe, you may need to raise these, but I rock with this. It works for me. I don't have, like I said, it's very consistent, and that's what I'm looking for, consistency. I may run into some situations, and I think this happens to a lot of people. You run into situations where you're like, man, if I just would have had a higher sensitivity, I could have snapped on that guy. Okay, so then you change your sensitivity, but then you're every other situation you're in, you're not used to it, and then your aim's all over the place. Maybe you lose some different gunfights. I think you need to strive for something that is consistent. It doesn't have to be flashy. I know when you watch YouTube, a lot of times, people like to run very high sensitivities and it looks like they're flying all over the place, but you don't need it. You don't. Everything else, I'm just gonna breeze through until I get to something I think is important. So if you want to copy the rest of these, I'm just kind of scrolling through them. Controller vibration off, trigger effect off. Dead zones are the other really, really important thing. Now, I do have a lot of stick drift, as you can see. My left stick goes down to like -8 vertical, and my right stick is -4, -7. I have a ton of stick drift. I am not opposed to increasing the dead zone. If you want to, basically, what your goal should be is to set these so that you get within like a negative, like ±2%. Uh, so if I do this and I flick my sticks, as you can see, both of my sticks are within 2%. My left stick is 0. My right stick is -3, -2. So this would be fine. There would be a negligible difference. But for me, I am rocking with this. The only thing is I don't like when my character moves when I don't want it to, so I will increase my left stick dead zone a little bit. Um, but too much, and sometimes you miss some opportunities for aim assist because you're not strafing. And then right stick is at 0, just so I can make micro adjustments. You know, Given that I do have a lot of stick drift, it's possible that in some very few instances I may miss because of stick drift. But for the most part, unless you have like the loosest sticks imaginable, uh, you can keep your right stick at 0. And again, I just don't want my character moving at all when I'm not trying to move. So my left stick minimum is at 3. And last part, the left stick's max, I keep at 65. I will play around with this. I've gone as low as like 40, and I've gone as, high as like 99. In general, I think 65 to 75 is good. This allows you to react quickly, allows you to strafe, and get a little bit more fluid movement. So if you feel like movement is an area of opportunity for your game, I recommend lowering your left stick max and giving that a go. I use no sensitivity multiplier. Whoops. I use no sensitivity multiplier, so you don't have to worry about that. I use instant ADS sensitivity transition timing, and I use dynamic aim response curve type. I would never recommend linear to anyone. Um, and standard is okay, but dynamic I think is uh, it gives you a great middle ground. It gives you a lot of wiggle room when you're aiming or turning. Uh, I don't know. It feels really good. I think standard or dynamic are the best. I think dynamic is the best. Uh, so if you want to try switching, you can. And again, I don't use any custom sensitivities per zoom. But if you did want to, uh, if you tend to snipe a lot, which I tend to not, and you use a lower sensitivity, you may want to increase maybe your ADS sense multiplier um, on a high zoom optic to like a 1.1 or 2 or something. Movement, tactical sprint assist is essential, especially since I cannot literally press my sprint button anymore. Because again, I slide with my left stick, jump with my right. Mantle assist is off, crouch assist is off, corner slice is off. This just feels very weird and jarring to me. I don't like it, and I cannot hit anything when I have this on, so I turn it off. Slide only. I don't dive. It's just easier for me because I know exactly what I'm going to do every time I hit my left stick. I know I'm going to slide. I don't have to like panic if I accidentally dive or whatever. I know it's always slide. Again, I just look for consistency. Automatic airborne mantle off, sprint restore on, slide maintain sprint on, and parachute off, automatic parachute off, and the rest of these. I don't think there's anything in here. Um, yeah, there's nothing really in here I think that's super important. And then combat, again, nothing here that is very important or that's going to be deal breaking. My melee weapon, I have to hold my melee button in order to pull out my knife or whatever my dedicated melee is. I don't cycle. Um, apply all is something for armor plate behavior. Maybe, you know, it makes a huge difference because you just start applying plates, then you can get your thumb back on the thumbstick and sprint and look and shoulder corners while you're putting on plates. So I think this is kind of a must-have. C4s are ass, so I don't use them, so it doesn't matter. And then since my left stick again is my slide, my focus behavior is set to auto. So that means whenever I am sniping, as soon as I aim down sight, my character will automatically hold its breath. So now I don't have to hold anything, I don't have to touch anything. If I'm using a sniper, I will just automatically hold my breath and go into focus mode. I have tested this out with ARs and using the marksman grip that allows you to focus with mixed success. The problem is you cannot strafe very fast at all, and it makes close range fights very, very awkward. But for sniping, again, it works for me. And these, again, are kind of unique to me because I use such different button layout. So that's why it's set to auto. Sprint cancels reload is off and everything else. I think that's it. So the only other things we'll go through, I think, is graphics. This is a setting. Holy God, if you do not have a 120 hertz refresh rate monitor, go buy one. I mean, obviously, like this is something that will is noticeable and will take your game, I think, to the next level. The game just plays so much smoother. You're able to track targets easier. Recoil is easier to control. The game just feels smoother and more fluid, and it you can notice an immediate difference when you flip this on, but it will not be there unless you have a 120 hertz refresh rate monitor or TV. If you go with a monitor, they're actually fairly cheap. I think you could probably get one with like a 2 millisecond refresh rate and a 120 hertz refresh rate for $150. So I know that's not nothing to a lot of people, but it's a great investment if you do game a lot, and I 10 out of 10 would recommend. Nothing else. Motion blur always needs to be off. Oh, this is actually something that's very unique is my view. Everyone runs 120 field of view. I did for, I mean, forever and ever and ever. And I really truly felt at times like I just could not see sometimes what I was shooting at. And I was just kind of hunting for hit markers. And I would lose gunfights. And I was like, why am what's going on? So, you know what? I decided to make the people bigger. That's what field of view does. As you decrease the field of view, what you're looking at gets bigger on your screen. The higher it goes, the smaller things get on your screen, but the more you can see. In case you're wondering, old school consoles like the Xbox 360, PS3, and those were stuck at 80 FOV, 80 field of view. So 105 is still a huge upgrade from 80. Um, it does make it look like my character may be moving a little bit slower than compared to 120 field of view. And the only advantage to me, obviously, 120 is you can see more of your map, obviously, and it does make recoil a little bit easier to control. Um, but it's all just like placebo, like it's just a visual effect. It doesn't actually change your recoil. So if you are older, like me, and sometimes have to squint at my monitor to see what I'm trying to shoot at, and you're like, dang, I can't see anything, just lower your field of view. Try start at maybe 110, go down to 100. I wouldn't go any lower than 100. I will say that. I wouldn't go any lower to the 100 because then I think you're just actually at a disadvantage, especially in close range. But I think 105 to 110, somewhere in that range, honestly makes a big difference. So again, I know a lot of people swear by 120 and they refuse to go. If you are have trouble hitting your shots, make your target bigger by lowering your field of view. If it's an issue, give it a shot. Especially if you sit on a couch and like play. a couple feet away, even if it's on a big TV, lower your field of view. Just give it a shot. Affected is necessary. Wide is not necessary, but preferred. And I think that's it. All right, audio. Master gain volume's always at 100. I have my enhanced headphone mode to off. I may change these if I actually had great headphones. Mine are Astro. What are they? I'm looking at them right now. Astro A10s. These bad boys, I think, are like $35 at Walmart. Uh, they are they are technically a gaming headset. It is currently taped together, uh, but it works. To enhance my audio, I use Sucker Punch, and this is going to be very loud. I'm going to warn you, but I will show you my configure frequency intensity. I think this does make a big difference. So it is very loud. It makes a very horrible beep sound, but I'm going to show this once. Pause the video. You can copy and paste. But I found this to be very, very good. Here we go. Oh, wait. It only makes the annoying sound. So we have plus 50, 0, negative 35, negative 35, negative 20, plus 50, plus 10, plus 10. Combined with Sucker Punch, this to me is very good audio. I can hear footsteps pretty easily, and playing off audio cues is going to take you from, it could very easily take you from like a 1-ish KD to like a 2.5 KD. Like having good audio makes a massive difference. I would highly recommend you try, you know, these settings or find some other audio settings, but these have worked very, very well for me, even with my very cheap headset. You don't have to buy expensive equipment, uh, and having the ability to change these frequency ranges is important. I think it makes a big difference. And the right channel frequency is the same, right? So just copy paste both sides. So there's that. And then the only thing is like if you do have sensitive ears, then change this to home theater and you get a similar effect, but it's just not quite as deafening. So sucker punch, asymmetrical hearing turned off, configure frequency. I think we already did that. Okay. Voice chat doesn't really matter. I have proximity chat turned off. Um, but but if you do have it on, if there is anyone within, I think it's like 50 meters of you that also has proximity chat, even if they're not talking, if you talk and your microphone icon shows up in the right hand side, when you talk, that means that someone is within 50 meters of you. So you can kind of use that as a free UAV, like an echolocation. You just know someone's close. So just like a little hidden tip for you. I don't use it, um, but there's that. Everything else, nothing crazy here. And then interface will go through, but I don't know if there's anything super important in here. I guess color customization we can go through. I use Tritanopia. And then I also have settings set in my PlayStation to match this. This makes the game much more vibrant and doesn't have that same like washed out look. So again, I'm sure you have something like this on Xbox, but I would recommend it makes a big difference, honestly. So you should try it. If you haven't, go into your color customizations, trade this to like Deuteranop Deuteranopia or Tritanopia and then change some of the settings on your Xbox or PlayStation and give it a shot. Color filter 2 applied to the world and the interface, and 100 for color intensity. What else we got here? I don't think anything around here actually makes a huge difference. So I'm just going to scroll through these, and if you want to stop and pause, you can do that. Crosshair I have on center dot, and I do have it set to largest. This just helps with centering, so I know exactly where the center of my screen is. Centering is a huge part of aim and part of if you master centering, you will probably have a 3 KD or higher. Um, and maybe I'll make a video about centering and like improving your aim and stuff. But I choose the largest center dot, so I know exactly where the center of my screen is. It helps me center a little bit better. Would recommend. And then I have it set to like just a very bright ass color that allows me to see it more easily on the map. And I think that's it. Um, so again, these are kind of different. I have the custom buttons. I use a very low sensitivity, and my vertical stick sensitivity is very, very low compared to anyone else I've ever seen, um, at least on YouTube. So, try lowering your vertical stick sensitivity. I think it makes a big difference. I think it helped my aim a lot. Um, again, get yourself a 120 hertz monitor, test out some different audio settings, and let me know what you think. If you think I'm a madman, let me know. And if you have any questions over anything, leave a comment. I respond to every single comment every single time, to the best of my knowledge. So, again, let me know what you think. We're going to hop into a gameplay, and I hope this helps. Thanks so much. Hello again. Hello out there, YouTube. I already did my intro, so we're not going to repeat it. But now that you get to see this beautiful bald head, I just wanted to say hello again. Drop 26 in this gameplay here, using those same settings that I just shared with you guys. I know they're a little bit different than what you can see, and I would never recommend just copy and pasting someone's settings that you think is good and thinking that you're automatically going to play like them. But they're very unique, I think. So I wanted to share with you guys. But I played Battlefield Red Sec, the new Battlefield BR. I had made a video a couple weeks ago, I think, talking about the two, like before coming out, not knowing many details and just kind of speculating. I know a lot of Call of Duty players, especially ones on keyboard and mouse, have moved over to Battlefield, and it seems like they're staying put, or at the very least until Black Ops 7 comes out. But, I would say, about 5 hours into RedSec. Again, that is the Battlefield 6 BR. I haven't played multiplayer, it's just not really my thing. And I thought, as we are talking about settings, I thought that Call of Duty had a lot of settings and was confusing. Holy hell. Battlefield settings are insane. Like, because not only do you have like the infantry settings when you're boots on the ground, but then you also have the settings for when you're a chopper, or when you're a tank, you're in a car, whatever. So it took me quite a while to get some settings that felt anything close to Call of Duty. Because otherwise, like the movement in general feels very cumbersome and clunky. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It does create a little bit more realism compared to, what you see in Call of Duty with guys like slippy sliding everywhere like a slithery little snake. There's an OG YouTube video throwback for you. I'm a slithery little snake. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Yeah, so it makes it a little bit more grounded. The gameplay is a lot more slow paced. Obviously, you have not just vehicles, but you have tanks, which can be annoying. Overall, Battlefield 6 Red Sec is not a bad game. It is not a bad game. The fact that it just came out, the only thing I think that they said that was going to happen that didn't happen was they said it was going to be released with solos, duos, trios, and quads, and it only came out with duos and quads. Comparatively to Call of Duty Warzone launches, it's incredibly smooth. There are some bugs, but they are relatively minor. It might just be like, a UI bug where it says like you only have 2 rounds in your gun, but you don't. Or very small things. There was nothing that I saw specifically. These are just things I've seen like on Reddit or whatever. Personal experience, the game ran flawlessly. That said, the UI is very clunky. It's hard to navigate the menus. The settings are absolutely ridiculous and not very clear cut. It feels the whole game feels clunky to me. That said, the game works, and so it has that over, as we know, Call of Duty and especially Warzone, when they do integrations, release new games and stuff like that, can be an absolute shit show, um, and can be game breaking. That said, all of that said, I don't see myself playing Battlefield long term. I don't see myself ever posting it. I did get a win in, like, I guess it would be like their equivalent of casual mode, where you just play with a mixture of bots and real people. Like I said, I once I got my settings dialed in, I played a few hours, got a win. The bots are actually a lot better than the Call of Duty bots, so I will say that. But the game just, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel fluid. It doesn't, tick my ADHD brain going. You know what I mean? Like, it just does not give me the same feeling that Call of Duty does. And I think, that's just always been the history and the story behind Call of Duty and Battlefield. Battlefield players like, the military simulation, the strategy, the hyper objective play. In Call of Duty, players, generally speaking, are very casual. They don't like the really intense. They like the arcade shooter, and that's kind of the camp I fall in. So, if for whatever reason there's a huge outcry for Battlefield, I'm not opposed to playing it, but I just don't really have a ton of fun. So I could play it here and there if that's something you guys really, really want to see. But I just want to let you guys know, if you were curious. Uh, if you're someone who likes a variety of types of games, I would 100% download Battlefield and I would play it. It is a good game. It's just not super fun, in my opinion. That's just me. But like I said, if you're okay with a variety of different types of games, then you will probably like it. It runs flawlessly. It doesn't take up a huge amount of space like Call of Duty does. And like I said, once you dial in your settings, you'll be all set. The game is very casual friendly. I will say that it definitely does have that. The aim assist in that game is absolutely diabolically strong. Um, it actually, and very specifically, the aim slowdown. So, like, if you're trying to aim at my eyeball, right, and then your cursor is coming in, there's like a bubble around where you're aiming, where your aim starts to slow down. Call of Duty has this, but it's not super noticeable sometimes. But it was actually hard sometimes to actually shoot people, because the bubble around the player was so strong and the aim down slowness was so strong that I literally like couldn't fight past it to actually shoot the player. So that's something that was very weird and try to get used to. And then the other thing that I really don't like about the game is the bloom mechanic. So in Call of Duty, right, you know, dependent on bullet velocity and distance to target, stuff like that. If you're close range, it is hit scan. Your dot is here in the center of the screen. Your dot is here in the center of the screen, and you shoot at that dot, and your bullet will always land on that dot. In Battlefield, there is a bloom effect. So the longer you hold down the trigger, the bigger your bloom gets, and the less accurate your gun gets. So there's lots of occasions where I found myself shooting at people, holding down the trigger, because that's what I'm accustomed to doing, and my sight is on the player, and I'm just not getting any hit reg. And so I don't know if it's a server thing, or if it's bloom, or if it's a combination of both. But that was also a huge detractor for me. I really did not like that at all. So it's just it's a different sort of game. It's like, maybe you date, this person, and then you break up and you date the cousin, and they're pretty similar, right? Because they're in the same family. Uh, but in some regards they're totally different. I don't know. Maybe that's a weird analogy. Uh, maybe that's a weird analogy, but it makes sense in my brain, at least in this moment. So, if you want to try dating your ex's cousin, go try Battlefield. If you want to stick with what stick with Call of Duty. That's what I'm going to be doing. That's what I'm going to be posting. Things are getting a little weird here in the commentary. And this video is already super long. So if you've stuck around till now, thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Again, I can't ever say it enough. Thank you guys so much for all the support recently. Um, I genuinely like this. It feels I'm living on cloud nine right now, and I'm just always so excited to make videos and to interact with you guys. Keep the comments coming. I love talking to you guys. Um, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the gameplay. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Get me a UAV. On me. Reloading.
TACOM, we're flying on fuel. UAV returning to tank.
Outdrive.
Primary objective complete. All targets eliminated.
I'll ride. Changing mags. Reloading. Outdrive.
UAV standing by.
Bringing in recon.
UAV available for tasking.
Outdrive. Hostile contact.
Priority target zero. UAV entering AO.
Loading new map. TACOM, get me a UAV.
UAV standing by.
Setting rally point.
You've got gas inbound. Safe zone relocated.
Changing mags. Rossi, requesting UAV. Head for my waypoint.
Mission timeline expired. UAV exiting the AO.
You're losing ground. Move it.
Incoming fire. Open your map.
Enemy advanced UAV is active. Gas is closing in. Relocating safe zone. Fire sale active. Buy station prices have been reduced.
UAV available for tasking.
Bringing in recon.
UAV standing by.
Changing mags.
Gas is inbound.
Thanks for the work. UAV overflight terminated.
Impact through the arm.
Fire sale's done. Prices are back to normal.
Coming in. Damn, I'm good. Rossi, requesting UAV. Reloading.
UAV is single fuel, returning to base.
Taco, get me a
UAV
UAV.
available for tasking. Flying on cue.
Destination
UAV returning
marked.
to tank.
Gas is inbound. Marking new safe zone. The Gulag's locked down. Area's
Loading
clear.
new map.
You've got a loadout drop inbound.
Rossi, requesting UAV.
Standing by.
Enemy dropping into the AO.
Priority tasking request received. We're done.
Reloading. Taco, get me a
Got
UAV.
gas moving in.
Priority tasking request received. UAV exiting AO.
Bringing in recon.
UAV available for tasking.
My vision is totally right.
Get to the new safe zone.
Bring fire.
Top 5. Bring home the win.
Rossi, requesting UAV. Changing maps.
UAV standing by.
Taco, get me a UAV.
available for tasking. Thanks for the work. UAV overflight terminated.
Gas is inbound.
I hit.
Only 5 remain. You were close.
Enemy movement.
Valiant